7 in the evening on September the 26th, Fête des Puces. This is the Flea Market Festival in northern arrondissements of Paris on the periferique Saint-Ouen. If you can make it, this may be the time to visit for your first time, or perhaps you're there regularly. It really does seem like you can find everything. But a flea market suggests a bargain. It's just antique brocante. Expensive. And a lot of it. A bit like Portobello Market, but in Paris, not London, and more so. The French really value their tat. A more rural country, poorer. So heritage is to appreciate the cheaper things. More. Marché. Venaison is the centre, the old origin, the village spirit. In this location since the 1920s, thriving after the Second World War. The 26 acres. Le Marché aux Puces de Paris Saint-Ouen is the largest concentration of antique dealers and second-hand dealers in the world, totalling more than 5 million visitors per year, among whom we meet foreign tourists and very often even celebrities. It should be considered a Paris incontournable. It's unmissable. 5th tourist site in France, located at the north door of Paris, north gate of Paris, opposite the 18th Arrondissement, every Saturday and Sunday and Monday. 7 hectares make up the entire Marché aux Puces site, which consists of 12 covered markets. Antica, Biron, Cambo, Dauphine, l'Entrepôt, Jour Vallée, Malaises, Le Passage, Paul Bert and Serpent, l'Usine and the Centre Vernaison. Poussières, the streets, Rue Jules Vallée, Rue Curie, you want to head for on your sat-nav, Rue Paul Bert, Rue Rosières, Impasse Simon, for finding it on Google Maps, Apple Maps, whatever ways. You may find for you that gastronomy is its main attraction, and the flea market's peripheral. About 40 establishments for you. There's actually a 1901 law that aims to bring together second-hand dealers, antique dealers, art galleries, market owners and craftsmen. Indeed, there's cabinet makers, bronziers, marble workers, glass makers, ceramic restorers, chandeliers, painting restorers. They ensure the maintenance and safeguard the artistic heritage of France, which consequently also makes it possible to preserve the know-how of these professions. It's estimated that 3,000 derived jobs depend on the site of Puces. Craftsmen, multiple and various suppliers, hotels, restaurants, bistros. It's a place. The area has the nickname Grenier du Monde, like the attic of the world. 5 million visitors a year. Well, Euro Disney, Notre Dame, the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre. But those 5 million people aren't wrong. But the Marché aux Puces de Paris hasn't always been on this Saint-Ouen location. It helps to know the French word poubelle, trash can, rubbish bin. Poubelle as déchetterie, but that's the council tip, really. But back in the 1870s, 150 years ago, flea markets had that sort of origin. I'm not going to take you all the way back to the bubonic plague, don't worry. Driven out of Paris, the waste pickers came to settle on the other side of the Fortifs. The official date of birth of the Puces 1885, a parking permit is now required from the Puces by the city of Saint-Ouen in order to be able to exercise their activity. Coming from biffins and second-hand dealers, some will become second-hand dealers or others antique dealers. Le Marché aux Puces draws its roots from the yardstick of the profession of the rag picker, a corporation of around 11,000 people handling 75,000 kilos of goods at the end of the 19th century, the 1800s. The prefect, Eugene Poubelle, had imposed on Parisians in 1883 the use of iron garbage cans with airtight lids. But the prefect, indulgent, would allow them to come between midnight and 5 a.m. in the morning to search what everyone already called the trash cans. This booty was then unpacked at Port de Clignancourt, which was then an unbuildable military servitude zone located beyond the old fortifications of the city of Paris. Driven away from the centre of Paris, the rag pickers will then find refuge at Clignancourt, straddling Saint-Ouen and Paris, served by the railway of the small belt and by 2 lines of the new metropolitan. Their market will be set up between taverns, refreshment stalls, circuses and other fairground stalls. In 1898, a regulation specified that a second-hand dealer was a reseller of old furniture, clothes, books, jewellery, dishes and other objects of merchandise of chance. No more the rag picker. Very quickly this small village will be surveyed by the Parisians of the beautiful districts and the socialites of the Belle Epoque, who flocked every Sunday morning to haggle for incredible odds and ends from which already rose treasures. While our rag pickers formed their first union, the press of the time echoed this parallel life, this picturesque courtyard of miracles, this jungle where Apaches and bourgeois snobs mingle. Look no further for the true origins of Marché aux Puces, an expression that remained anonymous and appeared around 1904. In 1910, the fame of the Puces was definitively launched by the satirical review L'Assiette, a publication which devoted an entire issue to them, illustrated by the figure of Paul Bot. The legend could begin. The metropolitan peoples of the first years of the 20th century helped make Puces a place of Sunday stroll very popular with Parisians. Little by little, tired of repacking their goods after the market days, the second-hand dealers will organise themselves and settle in new hard markets. When the fortifications were demolished in 1920, the Puces, which gained a capital letter in passing, moved to reorganise in Saint-Ouen. Entrenched, although precarious, the Fleas remain in balance thanks to their success. The English week, which imposes the idea of the weekend, has doubled the attendance, allowing the opening on Saturday and Sunday. Le Marché aux Puces draws its roots from the yardstick of the profession of the rag picker. In the 1920s, the first closed markets appeared. The former parking concessionaire at Les Halles de Paris, the rental of chairs for public gardens, Romain Valmaison, owned 12,000 metres squared of land in Saint-Ouen, where event seats were stalled. He built prefabricated cabins that were for rent to second-hand dealers. Monsieur Biron followed, inaugurated in 1925 by the Union of Brocanteurs de Saint-Denis, expelled from Clignancourt area, nicknamed the Belle Puce. See the Poubelle, Belle Puce, play on words there. Almost a Belle Epoque French pun. The nickname Faubourg Saint-Honoré de Puces, a contrast between the rich and the Flea classes. Biron also sold restored old objects, and likely a few reproductions. More chic then, frequented by the whole of Paris, of fashion and the arts, Biron will launch primitive African art that same year in 1925. By municipal decision, the Puces operate from Saturday to Monday. The Merchants' Association has 120 members, and the Puces gathered 300 free Puciers across the market. At that time, it's grown considerably since then. 1938. Cézanne, a Venetian merchant, in turn opened the Jules Vallée market. Upon liberation, the flea markets remained this grey area on the edge of the City of Light, a pile of barracks where nothing is insured against theft and fire. In 1942, on land reserved for the cultivation of fruits and vegetables, granted for life by Monsieur Bourdin to Monsieur Malik, will continue horticulture and subsequently will create the market that will bear his name in order to sell second-hand clothes and old clothes, while adding streetwear and sneakers, merchandise that today has taken over the old. In 1946, the Rosières market, then a stronghold of resourcefulness, arose in a former garage. Paul Bert innovates with 200 stands of just 12 metres squared each, and is permanently built on in 1954. In addition to the weekly sidewalk unpacking on Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday now, it's being organised and growing in importance, which accentuates the popular side, flea market, and creates the link between the markets. Half the 4.5 hectares are these private markets. After the Second World War, markets become an irresistible attraction again. Recycling is sovereign there, increased by the windfall of American stock. The biffins have prospered, become fantastic curiosity. The flea markets now host real established antique dealers, and also internationalised clientele follows. It's all increasingly upscale. Toward the more modern era, at the turn of the 1960s and 1970s, the flea market supported 2,800 people, including 400 artisans living in Saint-Oyen or the surrounding area, including merchants. The opening of the new markets, Cambo, Marché de Rosières, Halle de Brocante and Allée Verte, increases the surface area to 7 hectares. 1977, Alain Serpent, son of Puces, in turn opened a new market, Serpent, a covered market. From 1985 to 1995, the regrouping of the Puces toward the Porte de Clignancourt brought about the disappearance of a few markets. The Hall de la Brocante, located on Rue Lescure, le Allée Verte, Rue Jules Vallée, and Les Remises on Rue Lecure, was in decline. 2 new markets opened in compensation, Malasis, reserved for antiquarians, books, and with an underground car park. 1989. 2 years later, the Dauphine market was the new big thing, hosting 150 stands on 2 floors, in a Baltard-style structure. Place of traditions, the Puces are home of the temple of gypsy jazz, the Shop de Puces, where the Shop de Puces officiated celebrities Django Reinhardt and rock concerts at Piccolo and Roi de Café. Chez Lusette, where you can listen to the singing tour of the cheeky girls taking over Piaf for more than 40 years. The flea markets have always inspired great names in the arts and literature, such as André Breton, Jacques Prévert, Raymond Queneau. Big in France, Robert Douanier, Pablo Picasso, César, Willy Romy, Woody Allen, and even Thomas Dutonc. Gouloul de Lautrec, who made great days of the Moulin Rouge, lived at the flea market, as did Charles Aznavour, whose parents had a shop. A lot of brocante in France. It seems expensive. It's a business, it's not a charity business. You might be surprised at the prices, but take Le Sac, just in case, and enjoy the atmosphere, the visual stimuli, and the food for all the senses. Le Grenier du Monde is an incontournable of Paris. Visit the attic of the world.